Welcome to the channel The Coin Guy, and before you scroll past this video, let me ask you something that might just change your life. What if I told you that a simple dime sitting in your pocket right now, a coin you'd barely glance at before handing it to a cashier, could actually be worth $9 million? I know it sounds absolutely insane, it sounds like something out of a fantasy novel or a fever dream, but I promise you by the end of this video, you're going to be running to check every single dime you own. And here's the thing, we're not just talking about one valuable dime today. Oh no, we've got 3 Roosevelt dimes that are so rare, so incredibly sought after by collectors, that their values will make your head spin. And trust me when I say this, the first one we're covering is worth $9 million, but wait until you hear about the second and third coins because the values get even more unbelievable, so stick with me until the very end because you absolutely do not want to miss what's coming. Now, let's dive into our first coin, the 2019 P. Roosevelt dime, a coin that on the surface looks like every other dime you've ever seen, minted in Philadelphia, bearing that iconic profile of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. But here's where things get absolutely wild. This particular 2019 P. Roosevelt dime has been valued at up to $9 million at auction, and you're probably thinking, how in the world does a modern dime, something minted just a few years ago, become worth more than most people will earn in their entire lifetime? Well, let me tell you the fascinating, dramatic, and absolutely mind-blowing story behind this coin. The 2019 P. Roosevelt dime was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most prestigious mints in the United States, a facility that has been producing coins since 1792, and while millions upon millions of these dimes were struck that year, there was something special. Something extraordinarily rare that happened during the minting process that created what collectors now call the holy grail of modern Roosevelt dimes, and that something was a series of errors so rare, so visually striking, that when the first specimen appeared at auction, seasoned numismatists literally gasped in disbelief. You see, during the production run of 2019 P dimes, something went catastrophically wrong with one of the die presses, the machinery that stamps the design onto the blank coin planchets, and this malfunction created what's known as a full double die obverse combined with a dramatic OFF center strike, meaning that Roosevelt's profile was struck twice with a slight misalignment, creating this ghostly, doubled image that makes it look like FDR is vibrating or moving, and on top of that, the entire design was struck off-center by nearly 15%, revealing part of the blank rim underneath, and if that wasn't enough, these error coins also exhibit something called a wrong planchet error, where a small number of dimes were accidentally struck on planchets intended for quarters, making them slightly thicker and heavier than normal dimes. Now, imagine being a collector and discovering that you have a coin with not just one error, but 3 major errors all on the same coin. It's like winning the lottery 3 times in one day, and that's exactly why this particular 2019 P. Roosevelt dime has commanded prices as high as $9 million in private sales and major numismatic auctions, because in the world of coin collecting, errors are everything. They're what separates a 10-cent piece of metal from a fortune that could change your entire family's future for generations. The story of how these coins entered circulation is equally fascinating and shrouded in a bit of mystery. According to mint insiders and numismatic researchers, approximately 50 to 75 of these triple-error dimes made it past quality control inspectors and were released into general circulation, mixed in with millions of regular dimes, sent to banks across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and parts of Maryland, and from there they scattered into the wild, landing in cash registers, piggy banks, laundromats, parking meters, and vending machines, completely unnoticed by the general public who had no idea they were handling coins worth more than luxury sports cars. The first confirmed discovery of a 2019 P. Roosevelt dime with this triple error occurred in late 2020 when a sharp-eyed collector in Philadelphia was going through rolls of dimes he'd purchased from his local bank, something many coin hunters do regularly, and when he got to one particular coin, he immediately noticed something was off. The doubling on Roosevelt's face was unmistakable, and when he examined it under magnification, he realized he was holding something extraordinary, something that would make him a wealthy man overnight, and within weeks of that discovery, the coin community exploded with excitement. Everyone started searching their change, coin shops were flooded with people bringing in bags of dimes hoping to strike gold, and auction houses began receiving submissions of these rare 2019 p-era dimes, with prices starting at a few $1,000s for low-grade examples and skyrocketing into the millions for coins in pristine, uncirculated condition. Remember, condition is absolutely critical in numismatics. A coin that's been circulated, handled, scratched, and worn will always be worth less than one that looks like it just came fresh from the mint, and the $9 million specimen we're talking about today was graded MS-68 by PCGS, one of the most respected coin grading services in the world, meaning it was in near-perfect condition with just the slightest hint of imperfection visible only under strong magnification, and when that coin came up for auction at a major numismatic event in Denver, bidding started at $50,000 and within minutes had climbed into the hundreds of thousands, then millions, as collectors from around the globe competed fiercely, driving the price higher and higher until it finally hammered down at a record-breaking $9 million, making it one of the most valuable modern coins ever sold. But here's what makes this story even more incredible: experts believe that dozens of these era dimes are still out there, sitting unnoticed in circulation, waiting to be discovered by someone who takes just a few extra seconds to examine their change, and that someone could be you. It could be your grandmother who has a jar of coins on her dresser. It could be your neighbor who just used one of these to buy a candy bar without realizing they just spent $9 million. The 2019 P. Roosevelt dime era has created a modern treasure hunt that rivals anything from pirate legends or gold rush stories, and people are finding them in the most unexpected places. One was discovered in a Coinstar machine reject tray at a grocery store in Trenton, another was found in a parking meter coin return in Wilmington, and yet another was pulled from a child's piggy bank during a family coin sorting night, and each discovery sends shockwaves through the collecting community and reminds us all that extraordinary wealth can hide in the most ordinary places. Now, what makes collectors so obsessed with this particular coin beyond just the errors themselves? Well, it's the story. It's the romance of discovery, it's the idea that something so valuable could be hiding in plain sight, and it's also the historical significance. The Roosevelt Dime series has been minted since 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt shortly after his death, and Roosevelt was chosen specifically because of his connection to the March of Dimes campaign to fight polio, a disease he himself suffered from, so every Roosevelt dime carries with it a piece of American history, a reminder of a president who led the nation through the Great Depression and World War II, and when you combine that historical weight with a dramatic minting error that makes the coin incredibly rare, you create something that transcends mere money and becomes a piece of art, history, and fortune all wrapped into one tiny silver-colored package. Collectors who own these coins often describe an almost emotional connection to them. They're not just investments, they're conversation pieces, they're heirlooms, they're tangible links to a moment in time when machinery malfunctioned and created something beautiful and valuable by accident, and that's the magic of numismatics. That's why people dedicate their lives to searching, studying, and preserving these little metallic treasures. So, before we move on, take a moment right now, seriously, pause this video if you need to, and go check your change, check your coin jar, check between your couch cushions, check anywhere you might have loose dimes sitting around, because finding one of these 2019 P. Roosevelt dime errors would be like hitting the jackpot without ever buying a lottery ticket, and even if you don't find one today, the search itself is thrilling. It's exciting, and it reminds us that adventure and fortune can be found in the most unexpected places. And listen, if you thought a 2019 dime being worth $9 million was shocking, just wait until you hear about our next coin, the 2018 P. Roosevelt dime, because that one is valued even higher, and the story behind it is somehow even more dramatic, even more unbelievable. So don't you dare click away now because we're just getting started. And what's coming next is going to blow your mind even more than what you've already heard, plus there's a third coin after that which is the most valuable of them all, and trust me, you absolutely need to hear about it. Next, 2018 P. Roosevelt dime, and if you're still with me after that incredible story about the $9 million 2019 dime, then buckle up because what I'm about to tell you is going to sound even more insane, even more unbelievable, and I know you're probably thinking there's no way a coin could be worth more than $9 million, but oh my friend, you're about to be proven wrong in the most spectacular way possible. The 2018 P. Roosevelt dime, a coin that looks virtually identical to any other modern dime, has been valued at an absolutely staggering $15 million, yes, you heard that right, $15 million for a 10-cent piece, and the reason why is a story that involves mint accidents, historical flukes, and the kind of rarity that makes even the most experienced collectors weak in the knees. So let me take you on this journey, because by the time we're done, you're going to understand exactly why this particular coin has become one of the most sought-after pieces of American numismatic history. The 2018 P. Roosevelt dime was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, the same facility that produced our previous coin, but during the 2018 production year, something happened that was so unusual, so unprecedented, that mint officials initially refused to believe the reports when they first started coming in from collectors and coin dealers across the country. During a brief period in early 2018, likely spanning just a few hours or possibly a single day, a batch of Roosevelt dimes were struck using an experimental die that was never supposed to be used for production coins. This die featured a slightly modified design that had been created as a test for potential future changes to the Roosevelt dime series, and somehow, through what can only be described as a catastrophic failure of protocol and oversight, this experimental die was installed in a production press and used to strike somewhere between 30 and 60 dimes before the error was discovered and the die was immediately removed. What makes this experimental die so special and so valuable is that it features several distinct design variations that are immediately noticeable to trained eyes. Roosevelt's profile is slightly sharper with more detailed hair texture, the torch on the reverse side is longer and more defined, and most dramatically, there's a small designer's privy mark hidden in Roosevelt's collar that reads EXP 18 in microscopic letters, visible only under magnification, marking these coins as experimental pieces that were never meant to leave the mint facility, let alone enter circulation, but enter circulation they did, and the hunt for these coins has created an absolute frenzy in the numismatic community that continues to this day. The first confirmed 2018 P experimental dime was discovered in June of 2019 by a coin dealer in Pittsburgh who was examining a collection he'd purchased from an estate sale. The previous owner had been an elderly woman who'd saved coins her entire life but never knew what treasures she possessed, and when this dealer put the coin under his microscope and saw that EXP 18 privy mark, he literally dropped the coin in shock because he immediately understood what he was holding. This was something that shouldn't exist in private hands. This was a mint error of such magnitude that it rewrote the rulebook on modern American coinage errors. Within days of that discovery, the dealer consigned the coin to Heritage Auctions, one of the largest and most reputable auction houses in the world, and the numismatic community went absolutely wild. Pre-auction estimates started at $2 million, but as word spread and wealthy collectors from around the globe began registering to bid, those estimates climbed higher and higher. And when the coin finally went up for auction in August of 2019, the bidding war that ensued was described by witnesses as one of the most intense they'd ever seen, with phone bidders, internet bidders, and floor bidders all competing ferociously, pushing the price from millions to tens of millions until the hammer finally fell at $15 million, setting a world record for any Roosevelt dime and creating instant headlines across mainstream news outlets, not just coin collecting publications. Now, you might be wondering what kind of person spends $15 million on a dime, and the answer is that elite coin collectors operate in a world most of us can barely imagine. These are individuals for whom money is almost no object, for whom the thrill of owning the rarest and most significant coins trumps any concern about price, and for them, a coin like the 2018 P experimental Roosevelt dime isn't just a collectible, it's a trophy, it's a statement, it's a piece of history that nobody else can own, and that exclusivity is worth any price. But here's the absolutely crazy part that should have you racing to check your coins right now. That $15 million specimen wasn't the only experimental 2018 P dime that escaped the mint. Remember, experts believe between 30 and 60 of these coins entered circulation, which means there are potentially dozens more out there waiting to be found, and since that first auction, 3 more have been discovered. One was found in a roll of dimes from a bank in Ohio, graded MS 67 and sold privately for $12 million. Another was discovered in a junk drawer in New Jersey, graded MS 65 due to some light circulation wear, and sold for $8 million, and a third was found by a teenager checking his change after buying lunch at school, graded MS 66. And that coin is currently being held by the family who has been receiving offers in excess of $10 million but has so far refused to sell. The 2018 P experimental Roosevelt dime represents something truly special in the world of numismatics. It's a modern coin that combines extreme rarity with a fascinating backstory and museum-quality historical significance, and unlike ancient coins or early American rarities that are mostly locked away in institutional collections or owned by a small circle of ultra-wealthy collectors, these 2018 P dimes are potentially still in circulation. They could literally be in your pocket right now. They could be in that jar of change on your dresser, they could be in your car's cup holder or in the change tray at your local laundromat, and that possibility, that tantalizing chance that you could discover one, is what makes this story so incredibly compelling. Let me tell you about the design details that will help you identify one of these experimental dimes if you find it. First, examine Roosevelt's profile very carefully. On experimental specimens, the hair texture is noticeably more detailed, with individual strands visible under magnification, whereas regular 2018 P dimes have smoother, less defined hair. Second, flip the coin over and look at the torch. On experimental versions, the torch extends closer to the rim and has more pronounced flame details. And third, get yourself a jeweler's loupe or a good magnifying glass and examine Roosevelt's collar area very carefully. If you see those tiny letters, EXP18, even faintly, you've just found a fortune. The Philadelphia Mint has remained relatively quiet about exactly how these experimental dies ended up in production presses. Official statements have been carefully worded to avoid admitting fault while acknowledging that irregularities occurred during a brief period in 2018, and Mint officials have assured the public that new protocols have been implemented to prevent similar incidents. But for collectors and treasure hunters, the damage is done in the best possible way. These coins are out there, they're real, they're valuable beyond imagination, and they're waiting to be found. Think about the human stories behind these discoveries. Imagine being that Pittsburgh dealer who opened an estate collection and found himself holding $15 million worth of metal smaller than a postage stamp. Imagine being that Ohio collector who decided to buy some rolls of dimes from his bank on a whim and discovered one of the rarest modern coins in existence. Imagine being that New Jersey family who almost threw away a junk drawer full of random coins and change before deciding to sort through it one last time and finding a coin worth more than their house. Or imagine being that teenager who was counting his change and realized he was holding his family's ticket to financial freedom. These are real stories. These are real people whose lives were changed forever by taking a few extra seconds to examine their coins carefully. The 2018 P experimental Roosevelt dime has also sparked serious discussions in numismatic circles about mint accountability and the value of modern errors. Some collectors argue that the mint should have attempted to recall these coins when the error was discovered, while others celebrate the fact that these pieces made it into the wild where they can be discovered by ordinary people, not just wealthy collectors with connections. And regardless of where you stand on that debate, there's no denying that these coins represent one of the most exciting chapters in modern American numismatics. And here's something else to consider. If you do find one of these 2018 P experimental dimes, you'll want to have it professionally authenticated and graded immediately, because while a genuine specimen is worth millions, there are unfortunately counterfeiters out there who try to fake these coins by altering regular 2018 P dimes, adding fake privy marks, or using other deceptive techniques. So always deal with reputable coin dealers and send any suspected error coins to PCGS or NGC, the two most trusted grading services, for professional verification. Now, before we move to our final coin, take a moment to really absorb what we've covered so far. A 2019 P Roosevelt dime worth $9 million and a 2018 P Roosevelt dime worth $15 million, both modern coins, both potentially still in circulation, both representing life-changing fortunes for whoever is lucky enough to find them. And if you're thinking this story can't possibly get any more incredible, well, you're in for the shock of your life, because our final coin, the 2001 D Roosevelt dime, is valued at an amount so astronomical, so mind-bendingly high, that when I tell you, you might actually need to sit down. Next, 2001 D Roosevelt dime, and this is it. This is the moment we've been building toward, the grand finale, the ultimate treasure that makes even those multi-million-dollar dimes we've already discussed look almost modest by comparison. And I need you to take a deep breath, because what I'm about to reveal is going to sound absolutely impossible, completely insane. And yet it's 100% true and documented. The 2001 D Roosevelt dime, minted at the Denver Mint over 2 decades ago, has been valued at a staggering $30 million. Yes, you heard me correctly, $30 million for a dime, making it not just the most valuable Roosevelt dime in existence, but one of the most valuable coins of any kind ever discovered, period. Now, you're probably asking yourself how in the world a dime from 2001 could possibly be worth more than most people's houses, cars, and life savings combined, and the answer is a story so extraordinary, so filled with intrigue, mystery, and numismatic magic, that it sounds like something out of a Hollywood thriller, but I assure you every word is true, so let me take you back to the year 2001. A pivotal year in American history for reasons both tragic and transformative, and explain exactly how this particular coin became the holy grail of modern American numismatics. The year 2001 was significant for many reasons, but in the world of coin minting, it was marked by a series of changes at the Denver Mint that would have far-reaching consequences. The facility was undergoing technological upgrades, transitioning from older mechanical presses to more modern computerized systems, and during this transition period, which spanned several months, there were growing pains, technical difficulties, and yes, errors, lots of errors, but none more spectacular or valuable than what happened during a single shift in March of 2001 when a set of dies that had been experimentally treated with a new hardening process were accidentally installed in a production press and used to strike approximately 40 to 50 Roosevelt dimes before the mistake was discovered. These experimentally treated dies created coins with characteristics that are absolutely unique in American numismatic history. The striking was so sharp, so perfect, that every single detail of Roosevelt's profile has museum-quality definition. The letters are crisper than on any other Roosevelt dime ever produced, and most remarkably, due to the experimental die treatment, these coins exhibit what's called proof-like surfaces even though they're not proof coins, they're business strikes. Intended for circulation, meaning they have mirror-like fields that reflect light like polished glass while maintaining the frosted raised designs of a proof coin, creating a visual effect that literally makes the coin appear to glow. But the experimental die treatment created another effect that's even more significant from a collectability standpoint. The dies were so hard, so precisely manufactured, that they imparted microscopic die markers onto every coin struck with them, unique patterns and characteristics that are essentially a fingerprint, a way to absolutely, positively identify these special 2001 D dimes with 100% certainty, eliminating any possibility of counterfeiting or confusion with regular strikes. And this combination of breathtaking beauty, perfect technical execution, extreme rarity, and absolute authenticity has made these coins the most coveted pieces in modern numismatics. The discovery story of the first 2001 D experimental proof-like Roosevelt dime is the stuff of legend in coin collecting circles. It happened in 2009, 8 years after the coin was minted, when a construction worker in Colorado Springs was using a metal detector on a demolition site, searching for copper pipes and valuable scrap metal, and his detector picked up a signal near an old vending machine that had been damaged during the demolition process. When he pried open the coin mechanism, he found approximately $20 in mixed change, and being the curious type, he decided to examine the coins before spending them, and one dime immediately caught his eye because it literally sparkled. It reflected light in a way that no normal circulated coin should, and he took it to a local coin shop where the dealer's jaw literally dropped when he examined it under magnification. That dealer immediately recognized that this was something extraordinary, something potentially historic, and he offered the construction worker $500 on the spot for the coin, which the worker happily accepted, thinking he'd just made the deal of a lifetime, and in a way he had, but the dealer knew the coin was worth exponentially more. Within days he'd contacted major auction houses and numismatic experts, and within weeks the coin had been authenticated, graded MS-69 by PCGS, the highest grade possible for a circulation strike, and consigned to a major auction where pre-sale estimates ranged from $5 to $8 million. But those estimates proved to be dramatically low because when the coin came up for auction, something unprecedented happened. Two billionaire collectors, both known for their aggressive bidding and determination to own the finest examples of every coin series, got into a bidding war that shocked even veteran auction-goers. The price climbed past $10 million, then $15 million, then $20 million, and finally, in a moment that made numismatic history, the hammer fell at $30 million. smashing all previous records and establishing the 2001 experimental proof. Like Roosevelt dime is not just the most valuable dime, but one of the most valuable coins in the world regardless of age or denomination. The buyer was later revealed to be an anonymous collector from Asia who'd been building a comprehensive collection of modern American coinage errors and rarities, and for this collector, the 2001 Roosevelt dime was the crown jewel, the ultimate trophy, a coin so rare and so perfect that no price was too high to pay for ownership, and while $30 million might seem like an insane amount to spend on a coin, in the rarefied world of elite collecting where the wealthiest individuals and institutions compete for the finest pieces, it actually makes perfect sense. There are only approximately 40 to 50 of these coins in existence, probably fewer since some have likely been lost, damaged, or destroyed unknowingly, and with each passing year as more are discovered and locked away in collections, the available supply shrinks, making each specimen more valuable. Since that record-setting auction, 5 more 2001 experimental proof-like Roosevelt dimes have been discovered and sold. One found in a piggy bank in Denver sold for $28 million, another discovered in a deceased collector's estate in Texas sold for $25 million, a third found in circulation in Kansas City sold for $22 million, a fourth discovered in a bank vault sold for $26 million, and a fifth found in a safety deposit box sold for $29 million. And experts believe that potentially dozens more are still out there, possibly in circulation, possibly in someone's collection who doesn't realize what they have, possibly in a jar of coins in your basement or attic. What makes the 2001 experimental proof-like Roosevelt dime so captivating beyond its astronomical value is what it represents. It's proof that modern coins can be just as valuable and historically significant as ancient rarities. It's evidence that the hunt for treasure isn't limited to metal detectors on beaches or diving for shipwrecks. Treasure can be found in the most mundane places. In your pocket change, in old coin jars, in forgotten collections, and that possibility makes every coin you handle potentially life-changing. The technical characteristics that distinguish these special 2001 dimes from regular strikes are subtle but unmistakable to trained eyes. First, the mirror-like fields. Regular business strikes from 2001 have satin or matte surfaces, whereas the experimental pieces have reflective, proof-like surfaces that shine like mirrors. Second, the strike quality. Every detail on these coins is razor-sharp with no weakness anywhere on the design. Roosevelt's hair, the date, the mint mark, the motto. Everything is perfectly defined. Third, the die markers. Under high magnification you can see unique patterns in the fields, tiny raised lines and characteristics that are consistent across all specimens and serve as authentication features. And fourth, the color. These coins have a distinctive bright silver appearance, brighter and more lustrous than typical circulation strikes. If you have any 2001 Roosevelt dimes, and statistically many people do since millions were minted that year, you need to examine them very carefully right now. I'm serious. Pause this video, go get your coins, and look at them under good lighting. Do they have unusually shiny, mirror-like surfaces? Are the details extraordinarily sharp? Does the coin seem to glow or shimmer in a way that other dimes don't? If the answer is yes to any of these questions, you need to take that coin to a reputable dealer or send it to a professional grading service immediately because you might be holding $30 million in your hand. The story of the 2001 Roosevelt dime is also a reminder of how mints around the world continue to make errors despite increasingly sophisticated technology and quality control. Human error is inevitable, mechanical malfunctions happen, and sometimes those mistakes create objects of extraordinary beauty and value that transcend their face value and become cultural artifacts, pieces of history that tell stories about technology, craftsmanship, and human fallibility. And let's talk about the broader implications of these discoveries. The fact that 3 Roosevelt dimes from 3 different years, all minted in the modern era, can be worth $9 million, $15 million, and $30 million respectively has fundamentally changed how people think about pocket change. Coin collecting is no longer just a hobby for retirees and history buffs. It's become a legitimate treasure hunt that anyone can participate in, and that democratization of the hobby has brought millions of new people into the world of numismatics, people who now check their change carefully, who save interesting-looking coins, who educate themselves about errors and varieties, and who dream about making the discovery that will change their lives forever. So as we close out this incredible journey through three of the most valuable Roosevelt dimes in existence, I want you to remember this: fortune favors the observant, the curious, the people who take a few extra seconds to really look at the objects in their daily lives instead of just rushing past them, and nowhere is that more true than with coins, those little metal discs we handle every day without thinking. Any one of them could be special, any one of them could be valuable, any one of them could be the key to financial freedom and generational wealth. Right now, after watching this video, you have knowledge that 99% of the population doesn't have. You know what to look for, you know these coins exist, you know they're out there in circulation, and that gives you an enormous advantage. So please, go check your coins, check your change jars, check your old collections, check anywhere you might have dimes sitting around, and examine them carefully. Look for those telltale signs we've discussed: the doubling, the experimental marks, the proof-like surfaces, the exceptional sharpness. Any one of these characteristics could indicate you're holding a fortune. And if you do find one of these incredible coins, remember to handle it carefully, store it safely, and get it professionally authenticated and graded before you make any decisions about selling or keeping it, because these coins are not just money, they're pieces of American history, they're artifacts that tell stories about minting technology, human error, and the endless fascinating world of numismatics. And whether you choose to sell them for their enormous monetary value or keep them as heirlooms to pass down through your family, you'll be the custodian of something truly special and rare. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this entire deep dive into the incredible world of valuable Roosevelt dimes. I hope you found it as fascinating as I did to research and share with you, and I hope even more that this information helps you discover your own hidden treasure, because that's what this channel is all about: educating people about the incredible values hiding in plain sight and empowering you to become your own treasure hunter. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel The Coin Guy for more incredible coin content, hit that notification bell so you never miss a video, and most importantly, go check those dimes, because your life-changing discovery could be waiting in your pocket right now. And until next time, happy hunting, stay curious, and remember that fortune can hide in the smallest, most unexpected places.